Welcome to the County Connection show for March. I'm your host, Scott Varga. I'm joined by County Commissioners Dan Gibbs, Thomas Davidson, and Karin Stiegelmeier. So welcome back. It's been a little while since we've had the opportunity to do another one of these fantastic shows. So we're loaded up with stuff to talk about for 2 entire segments. So we're going to start off with some really good news for the county and for the citizens with regards to some grant revenue that the county has been fortunate to receive. So Dan, I'm going to start with you, and you can tell us a little bit about some Summit Stage related grants.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. We received $1.6 million from what's called Faster Transit grants. And so the state will pay 80% of the money that comes in for the projects, and then we only have to pay 20%. So we have a couple different proposal projects that we're going to be funding with that money. We're going to be in 2 new buses, and believe it or not, you can't just go to automotive place and just buy a bus. It takes a while. So we're expecting those new buses to come in about 2017. We're going to be refurbishing 5 of our existing Gilligs. And then we're also going to be looking at a potential improvement or a new transit stop in Dillon, and then also making improvements to our existing Frisco transfer location. In the near future, folks will be able to take what's called the Bustang bus that will head from Glenwood to Union Station. Well, that could potentially interfere with our Summit Stage designated lanes. So we're going to have a designated spot just for our Summit Stage buses and look at CME and some of the other more or less bus van services that go to DIA, that they would use a different lane and not interfere with what we have right now. So $1.6 million is real money, and I think these 4 projects will be really great for our community.
Excellent. Talk a little bit about the other, project that's underway, and that's a new application that people will be able to use with their smartphones and whatnot for the stage.
I'm really excited about it, and I've had a lot of people ask me for years. I currently am the county rep to sit on the Summit Stage board, and quite often people ask me, hey, are we ever going to get the new latest and greatest technology to have an app where it'll say, how far away is the bus, or I got to the stop, and has the bus already been here, and so forth. Well, in the near future, we haven't selected the particular technology or company yet, but we know what we want. We know that we want something that if you stop at a particular bus stop, and it will say how far away the bus is, whether or not it's been there or not, and how to get to point A to point B. Very basic, and you see that in a lot of the larger metropolitan areas, but we do not have that yet up here in the high country. And whether you're a local or a visitor, I think it's really exciting to have this new latest and greatest technology. And I'm hopeful, and I'm not positive yet, but hopefully this new technology will also interface well with the other bus services that we have in our county. You have the free ride system in Breckenridge. So I personally live in the Wellington neighborhood, and I think it'd be great to be able to figure out, let's say I want to go to the outlet stores in Silverthorne. Well, I can take the free ride, the purple route, to the Breckenridge transfer station, then get on the Frisco line and then transfer to Silverthorne and so forth. But actually an app that will tell you how to do that.
We sent some staff to Austin to look at theirs,
We
right?
did, yeah. There are a couple different technologies that are utilized. One on the campus of University of Texas, and then there's another, I believe the city of Austin has a little bit different system. But 2 kind of competitors that are right next to each other, and I don't know exactly who will be selected, but it's great. It's very much well needed.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's good. All right, Karin, we've got some more grant stuff we want to talk about with open space and trails.
Yeah, not quite $1 million, but $34,000 goes a long way when you're talking about youth. The Rocky Mountain Youth Corps, we've gotten these often, and we get a lot out of that $34,000 because they're camping out. This is for youth age 14 to 25. It's a great opportunity for them to get out and do some healthy work on our trails. We have our trail systems being used and oftentimes abused as soon as the snow melts. So it's important to keep them in good shape so people are using them properly and they're able to get out and enjoy what Summit County is all about.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, you know, the youth corps, those are, in my opinion, future environmental leaders too. A lot of times they start out with something like this, and they also have a fire crew that a lot of people are not aware of, but they do a lot of trail maintenance, and sometimes they start doing wildland firefighting or start doing environmental education, and so it's a great feeder for those professions, I think.
Good. And then one other grant that we want to talk about, and that's, well, actually two grants, but from Department of Local Affairs.
Yeah.
So Tom, should we talk about those?
So we got $600,000 from Department of Local Affairs for the project to renovate the now old South Branch Library into the new offices for the district attorney's office as well as probation's. And so I think everybody knows about the fantastic project that we did with the town of Breckenridge, Breckenridge Grand Vacations Community Center and South Branch Library. But we're taking the what was the old library and converting that to new offices for the DA as well as probation, and that's about a $2.5 million project, and we got $600,000. So, yay, DOLA, and good job, Scott.
And that project is moving along at a breakneck pace, and we expect the interiors
How many
to be
necks have we
finished.
broken so far?
Several. We expect the interior of that building to be done by the end of this month, which is March. And we had originally hoped to be done by July. Now, we won't be actually in the building because we'll have to do some site work that we have to wait for the snow to melt. But if we get a good early melt, we could be done and finished with that whole project middle of May. Or early June, which would be fantastic.
So the DA's office is really excited. Right now they're located about a mile plus away from the Justice Center campus, and so they're constantly driving back and forth, and now we'll put them right there on the campus, and instead of getting in their cars and driving, they'll be right there at the courtrooms.
Yep. And the nice tie-in with regards to that project is, again, it's sort of phase 2 of the Breck Grand Vacations Community Center and the Summit County South Branch Library project. And that project also received a significant grant from DOLA from that same source of money when it was getting off the ground. So you want to talk a little bit about that project? We haven't had the opportunity since the opening to talk about that project.
So that project is fabulous. There was an effort between the county and the town and a bunch of other people to raise, $2 million in foundation and grant money and just individual donations, and a lot. Well, at least a few of us were kind of like, "Wow, $2 million, that's a lot of money to raise," but we did it. I think that the DOLA grant there was $400. Was that right?
It was somewhere right around there, yes.
So another significant grant from DOLA on that, as well as a lot of other state foundations, as well as a lot of you out there giving money to that. Boy, oh boy, everybody is really, really impressed and happy with everything that we did with that old CMC building. And so, I think once again, we will say thank you so much, Town of Breckenridge, for the opportunity to relocate our library into that building and everything that's in there, the meeting rooms, the new theater, the offices for the Breck Heritage Alliance. You're on that board, right? The Summit Foundation, the Film Festival office is in there. I mean, it's just really a fantastic, fantastic project.
And the coffee shop.
And the coffee shop.
Yellow Arrow,
they've got
very
good
good as well.
food.
Yeah.
They've got
A lot
good
of
food.
gluten-free.
Yeah,
They really do.
I had a chocolate chip muffin there. This is the best chocolate chip muffin I've ever had in my life.
So, yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, and so...
It's nice to have the state have a better kind of economic outlook as well, and that really helped with that DOLA grant, because I'm trying to think how many years, but they did not have those grants available because they were using those money for general fund to backfill expenses that the state of Colorado had. So it's nice to see those trickle to local communities again.
Right.
Yeah, and those dollars are related to energy impact and mineral extraction funds, and so that's where that money comes from for those DOLA grants for both the library project as well as for the district attorney project. So one other thing I want to mention about the district attorney project.
Are you going to say frack, baby, frack?
No. For the district attorney and probation project, I do want to thank G.E. Johnson, who is the contractor on that job, and Matt Stace Architects, who is the architect. They have both been doing a great job, and we're working as a really good team in getting that project done. And again, I mentioned that it's a couple months ahead of schedule, and they've just done a great job doing that work. So we don't see that very often with a project in Summit County. So good job to them.
Yeah.
I just want to put in a plug for if you have not been to the new Grand Vacations Community Center in South Branch Library, you've got to go. Just spend some time, take a tour, take your kids to the library, just take yourself. You don't even need to bring a book. There are so many wonderful cubbies to just sit in and drink your cup of coffee or read a book. It is fabulous.
Yeah, and just this past, actually 2 weeks ago, we finished the sort of treehouse feature in the juniors room, which is for kids that are sort of preteen age kids. And so we just finished that. I've heard it's a great success with the kids. And I just ordered the slide that will be affixed to that treehouse yesterday. That's supposed to arrive tomorrow. So maybe by the end of the week, we'll have the slide installed on that, and that will just take it up another notch. But hopefully you're watching SCTV 10 and you've seen the video around the grand opening night and the event that took place there, because Brad, who's sitting in the other room, did a great job pulling together a bunch of footage from that event, and it was a great turnout for that as well. The community certainly embraced this project.
And it had the Speakeasy movie theater back. And
And we left out the teen center. The teen center is actually getting used.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep, we've got a Xbox One within that room and a Wii gaming system, and so kids are coming in and taking advantage of that. They're hanging out. They're doing homework. They're doing homework as well, and they're just enjoying the atmosphere, hanging out within the
going
down
library.
and
getting all caffeinated up, and then Xboxing.
Yes,
Xboxing, beautiful
indeed.
thing.
All right. Anything else about any of those projects? All right.
Wonderful.
So anyway, thanks to all of those funders for recognizing the financial needs within Summit County and the ongoing needs that we have for facilities and other amenities. So we certainly all appreciate that. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back for our second and final segment for the show. Welcome back to the County Connections show for March. Sorry, our first segment dragged on a little bit longer than usual. We'll try and condense the second segment a little bit and try and hold your attention. Good luck with that. So again, I'm Scott Vargo, your host. I'm joined by Karn, Thomas, and Dan, your county commissioners. So we're going to start off with a discussion about radon. So Thomas, you want to talk about what is radon and why is that important?
So it's Radon Action Month. Radon is a naturally occurring cancer-causing gas, and we have a problem with it up here in Summit County. And so what we want you to do is get the free kit from Summit County in order to test for radon in your home. And it's best to do this during the winter months because you want to test for radon when the house is closed up in the wintertime. So the person to contact is Maya Kulik. She is the Senior Environmental Health Specialist with Summit County Environmental Health. Her number is 668-4070, and she can hook you up with one of these free test kits. Again, radon is a cancer-causing agent, and it's in a lot of our homes up here, so you really should get the free kit and get your home tested.
Yep. Good. We want to jump from radon to fire mitigation. There's a new person that's been, new position that's been brought into the county government, and you want to talk a little bit about that position and what its role will be?
Yeah, sure. We hired Doug Cupp, and he was existing director of Summit County's Fire Authority. And so in the previous capacity, he more or less would oversee a lot of the training capacity and activities that Red, White, and Blue, Lake Dillon, and Copper Mountain Fire would all kind of team up to do together. He has tremendous wildland firefighting experience as well as structure. Comes from originally the Fort Collins area. And we're really excited to bring him on staff to be our new Summit County Wildfire Mitigation Specialist. So he'll be working very closely with our fire council, with all 3 fire districts and homeowners to really look at what we can do to make our community safer. We have our very robust grant system that we have available here in Summit County, so he'll help administer that. But I think we're very fortunate to have someone locally that knows our community, that has worked with the fire entities already, work with our fire council, and I think he's going to be just a tremendous asset for our community.
And he told you that this is his dream job, right?
Yeah, he's been really wanting to work with homeowners and look at homeowner ignition issues. He's been a real leader nationally, teaching various different classes to fire districts around the country in home ignition. And so to have someone like that we can bring on staff, I think it just really benefits everyone in our community.
We're really lucky to get him.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Good.
And we were a little surprised that he applied, just because I don't know. It's just not that it's such a challenging job. It's very specific, and but we're very pleased to have him on board.
Yeah. Good. All right, we're going to move to our last segment, our last piece of this segment, and that is the electronics collection program that we have. And Karin, why don't you talk a little bit about how it is that we have this program now, and talk a little bit about the first event and its success, and then an upcoming event.
So our first event was January 31st, and it was overwhelmingly popular. And that is collection of the electronics. People tend to have a lot of these old large TVs stuffed away in closets and garages. So that was a lot of what we collected. We also collected pharmaceuticals. These are both any personal care products as well as narcotics that can only be collected with law enforcement there. So we were able to do both of those at that event. These are both items that we want to keep out of our watershed, and so we don't want the pharmaceuticals flushed down the toilet either, and ideally we don't want them thrown away either. We want to collect them, and they're burnt, I think, is what happens to them, but they're collected with law enforcement on staff. And the amount of tons, I want to say 100 tons, something like that, was collected in terms of electronics. So because it was so popular, we have another event scheduled. Yay. March 14th. Mark your calendars to get more of those things out of your garages and out of our landfill. They are not allowed in the landfill, and it has been very expensive for us to deal with this stuff because we were charging people to take it, but then it was costing us much more than that to actually dispose of it. Some of it's recycled, some of it needs to be disposed of. And thank you to the voters in November for passing 1A. We do have funding to allow this program to be free for people.
Yeah.
So what time on the 14th of March?
Start at 8 again.
8 o'clock, 8 to noon.
8 till noon.
It's back at the bus barns again, and we apologize to those people that ended up having to wait in line too long and eventually kind of drove away. We know that happened, but that's why we're doing it again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And there'll be 2 bays this go round, so there'll be collection coming from 2 lanes instead of a single lane at the bus barns, and so we should be able to accommodate more folks.
We've improved the assembly lines.
And so if,
we're hoping for more volunteers. Most of us will be there.
Yep. So if you have an interest in this and you'd like to volunteer, I believe that's being coordinated through High Country Conservation Center.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can certainly contact HC3 if you have an interest in volunteering from 8 until noon, or a little bit after noon, a little bit before 8 if you're going to volunteer and help out. So, all right. Anything else on that subject?
I think that's it. I mean, it's just amazing to see how many 2 or 3 semi-truck loaded, filled with electronics.
Yeah, and over
just
100 pounds of pharmaceuticals as well. Yeah. So those don't weigh a whole lot. So that's a lot. Getting a lot of that stuff out of people's bathrooms and avoiding that going down the toilet or the sink or whatnot.
Or
So-
into children's mouths,
Yes,
even worse.
Indeed. All right, so that's our show then for March. Thanks very much for joining us. Stick around. I'm sure that if you stick around long enough, you'll be able to see the Breck Grand Vacations Community Center and Summit County South Branch Library show as well. So stay tuned.